Hey, my name's Harrison Booth, and I wrote the song The Ocean Speaks in Empty Shells, which I then submitted in this year's Ocean Awareness Contest. So I decided that since I wasn't really able to edit together a music video where it shows me playing my instruments, I thought that I would go through and talk about kind of the techniques that I used and the inspiration behind a lot of the songs. So I'll just kind of go through each part of the song and explain how I'm playing it and demonstrate to you so that you know, like, I did actually play this. So most of the instruments are actual microphone recordings. So for a lot of the rhythm section I used mandolin. I have my electric bass that I recorded through this amplifier. Electric guitar for some of it. Although electric guitar was used a little more sparsely than I usually do when I'm writing songs. And then I used acoustic guitar, which I have sitting over there. I'm kind of surrounded by instruments right now. So I use a technique where I use the heel of my hand to mute the strings of the mandolin. So that's how I began the song. And then throughout most of the song, that when you hear that motif on the mandolin, that's being played by three separate mandolin riffs that are looped over top of one another. So there's the... And then over top of that you have... And then that's mandolin 2, and then mandolin 3 is playing over and over again. So that's basically the rhythm section for the majority of the verses is playing those three mandolin parts looped over top of one another. Then the bass comes in, and I played that part. So I tend to use neck pickup. I like my bass tone pretty dark. So that's kind of breaking down my bass line, and that section of the song is in 11/8. I'll show you in a moment how I arrived at that time signature. I didn't start out thinking I'm going to write a song in 11/8. It just kind of formed organically. So that's basically how the verse begins. The vocals are kind of distorted. That section, on a cool day in a gray nameless light, you find yourself on the beach. The whole way through, clouds trampled in celebration of our lack of understanding. That whole section right there is kind of inspired by my experience in Maine. I went to a National Audubon Society camp there last summer, so I kind of wanted to personalize it by using second-person perspective. You find yourself on the beach; it kind of connects it to the audience. So now, my next section. Alright, looks like my chord's not working. Alright, we're back. Let's see if this works now. Got a little... well, a lot of reverb on there. Okay, so yeah, just in case you guys are wondering, this is a Fender Rumble 25, I believe is the bass amp, and then this is a Micro Cube is the... I think Roland is the company makes this amp, so that's, yeah, you know, nothing special here, but so yeah, I think it was on the middle pickup. So yeah, essentially I wrote, this is the original riff. If any of you guys know, that's the lick. So after I figured out how to play the lick using tapping, I kind of developed my own riff off of this shape. So I'm kind of borrowing a power chord here. hard to mute the other strings while this is happening, but I actually used a little leather thing I had kind of lying around and wedged that up under the string, so you only have the high E and B. And that's in 9/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's hard to count while I'm playing, but so that's in 9/8. So that was kind of the B section. I'll just play this part on guitar just for the sake of time. So. So yeah, that's kind of what makes up the second section of the song, where I'm playing the tapping riff in 9/8, and then the bass comes in actually for the lead line right up here. I'm kind of using the open D as a drone. Nice slide to transition back to another verse. So yeah, so this next part I use some sound effects, as I kind of do throughout the song, using a sort of built-in synthesized sound effect thing on GarageBand. Kind of get flesh out the song, get a kind of more soundscapey vibe in the background. For this part I use a guitar slide. I don't have it on me right now, but when I talk about the herring gull dropping a clam from high in the air, I use a guitar slide to produce that dropping effect, and then I kind of played a little like that, scraping across the strings. Then I reversed that clip to get that kind of sound that directly follows that. Just trying to add to the surreal atmosphere, the unstable feeling that I'm getting, that I'm trying to convey throughout the song. So. This section of the song, I'm trying to, rather than like list facts, I guess, I'm trying to like take a more poetic approach. So I talk about the imagery of a herring gull dropping a clam on a parking lot surface to break it, and how we as a species are kind of doing that to the ocean. We're taking something and breaking it so that we can exploit what's inside. And that's why I use the like platters to break things on. Then the celestial bodies look on from the dark, wondering how their sister in the beautiful dress has covered it with stains again. That's other planets must be kind of looking at us, and we're such a unique planet. Our green and blue ocean surface, or ocean and land surface, excuse me, and we're kind of exploiting that. So these other planets that don't have the same resources that we do might be looking at us and thinking, what is this planet doing to itself? You know, more breaking things to exploit our resources. And then they must all watch us in disappointment as the sun goes down in their torn blue blanket. The ones we say we love but that we never want to help. The hunger we ignore. All that stuff. That is talking about the animals in the ocean looking at us and saying, like, we all act like we love the ocean. If you ask pretty much anybody, they'll tell you, oh, I love the sea, I love the beach. And then we turn around and act like we can't take care of that sea that we love. So that was just kind of, this is where the vocals reach their peak level of distortion. I actually went outside to record those vocals so that I wasn't yelling in my house. I'm just trying to build the tension. So when I say the line, the ocean speaks loudest in empty shells, it's really going after the fact that a time of crisis and a time of death for the ocean is really what should be compelling us the most to take action. It's kind of a play in the fact that you can hear, you know, the ocean in a shell that you hold to your ear. And I tried to turn that into the ocean is speaking in the absence of the creature that lived inside. The death of that creature and the death of all these sea creatures that we're causing is really what should be telling us that we need to take action. So now the instrumental section that follows kind of uses electric piano chords and so I use kind of the dragging arpeggiated, muted mandolin, which I thought was a pretty interesting sound, especially considering that it's coming from an acoustic instrument. It kind of gets stripped down, and then you can hear a section where I went to a park in my neighborhood and recorded a sound of trickling water and an American robin singing in the background to try and connect land and water as like we all live in the same planet. And then that theme really comes in at the end of the song where we reach the most melodic section yet. I have a capo that I put on the 2nd fret of my acoustic guitar, and I'm kind of using open chords. That's basically the progression. And then so then a violin solo comes in at the end. That was tricky to record. My iPad microphones were not the best for that. Anyway, rambling aside, the lyrics to that section, and I didn't really get to discuss the lyrics too in depth in my kind of truncated explanation of the song that you can find in the comments section of the description, of the original video I posted. Essentially, what I'm trying to get at is that despite the fact that there's all this crazy stuff going on, despite the fact that it looks like the ocean is dying and nobody's here to help it, we need to grab onto the courage that we as a species definitely possess, just that we need to be using. So, catch the ocean wind and ride from the strange and troubled tide. That's kind of going after that. Say you hadn't only tried, you won. I'm saying, say that we hadn't only, I guess I tried to save the ocean. It didn't really work out in the end. As a species, we need to not only try, but we need to win. Walk the intertidal sand. Drop the splinters from your hand. Home is far beyond the land. It's everywhere. It's everyone. So that closing of the song before the violin solo is really just talking about how, again, trying to create a bridge between our terrestrial domain and the ocean that also matters just as much. Home isn't just our houses and cities and everything. It's also the nature that surrounds it. And it's not just the land we live on, it's the ocean that this land is surrounded by. So the whole earth is our home. And the whole earth is the place that we live on. It's the one place that we know life exists in the entire universe. And to say that you shouldn't care about a certain part of the earth just because, humans don't live in the ocean, so we can take advantage of it, or that goes for any habitat, that's really false, because this is the only place in the entire universe that we know life exists. So the earth as a whole and all the species on it should be protected. And that's what I'm trying to say as I close out. That's the only section where there are actual sung lyrics. The time signature feels more grounded. It's kind of shifted into a 6/8 feel, despite the fact that the 11/8 mandolin riff is continuing quietly in the background. So there's a slight bedrock of instability, but now we're more grounded. We're pushing ahead. The chords are open and melodic, pushing us towards the future. Okay, so that is a breakdown of my song "The Ocean Speaks in Empty Shells," and I hope you enjoyed this slightly more in-depth exploration. I apologize that I wasn't able to convey all of this in the 250 words that I had for my artistic statement that went with the submission. I hope that by playing these parts for you, I can show how I went about making this song, and I know I rambled quite a bit in this, and I hope that this video wasn't too long, but I just wanted to show what went into it. So, thank you very much, and if you're a judge watching this, I really appreciate you watching this and appreciate your consideration. Thank you.